Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all having a fantastic whatever time it is in your part of the world. Here in Australia, it's a very cold evening, so I thought what better way to spend a cold evening than stay inside and do a movie review. So this movie is a thriller slash drama from Germany, German language English subs, released in the year 1997, directed by Michael Haneke, and this movie is called Funny Games. And the story to Funny Games is as follows. When Anna, George, and their son Soshi arrive at their lakeside villa for a week's holiday, their idyll doesn't last long. While father and son sail the lake in their yacht, Anna is asked by a neighbour's house guest for a handful of eggs. But the neat, educated appearance of these young men betrays their sinister intentions, and Anna starts to realise they play games, cat and mouse games. So the movie starts off with a family. They're retreating to their idyllic sort of remote countryside cottage where they're going to spend the week. And this is supposed to be a relaxing, fun week, but that turns out to be far from that. So some house guests from the next door neighbours arrives, and they say they want some eggs. But this hides their true intentions. Their true intentions is to capture this family and play sick games with them. So it turns out that these educated-looking individuals are hiding a much more sinister sort of agenda. So what happens at that point on, the family are put through some very tormenting games, and whether or not the family survive this ordeal, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on this film. Now, my problem with the movie starts off by seeing the remake first. Now, the remake, also directed by Michael Haneke, is set in the United States. It stars Naomi Watts and Chris Ross. If I can remember his name, or Tim Ross. It's one of those two. But anyway, those two were playing the mother and the father. And so it was a remake, and I really hated it for some reason. I just thought it was very pretentious, and that the husband-wife of those two actors didn't really gel together. The chemistry wasn't there, and I really hated them. And I thought there were lingering shots in the remake that was just full of self-indulgence, and it really put me off. I really didn't like the way that it was made. So I had my skepticisms coming into the original. But as is the case with a lot of these sorts of films, the original is far superior to the remake. Now, I think that the remake lost all of its feeling of, just the bad sort of vibe, the European feel. Was missing in the remake, and it was made obviously for American audiences, so you wouldn't have to read subtitles. But the remake is lacking something that the original has, and what the original has is so much menace. And I just thought the characters, the actors, that was much better casting in the original as opposed to the remake. I thought the remake, the family was really annoying. I thought the villains were very wimpish. Whereas in this film, they come across as wimpish, but there's something really sinister underneath. And that was missing in the remake, and that was missing with all the characters. I just didn't care for any of them. But in this film, the family, they were done a lot better. They were much more realistic. In the remake, it seemed like they were very shallow, very, superficial. Everything was done on, face value. Whereas in this movie, has a lot more depth. I thought the family were much more relatable. I thought the villains were very sinister because they come across as very polite, and then all of a sudden you see another side to them. Whereas the remake, it felt like they were dodgy straight from the get-go. They looked seedy. Whereas in this movie, they're not quite as seedy. So everything isn't quite in your face. It's not quite as obvious on face value as it was in the remake. And that's why I thought the original, it was surprising, and it was much, much better than the actual the remake. And so if you're a fan of remakes and you don't like subtitles, I would say stay with Funny Games remake. But if you want to see a film that is much better done, then the original is definitely one. So for one, the acting was very, very good. As I said, they were very relatable, and I thought each and every one of them had a lot of humane quality in them. And at the same time, it shows you the dark side of humanity, where these two are playing these horrible games, and the things that these two villains put this family through are horrific, and none of the rules apply to this film. Violence against children, violence against women, all of that is, it's no holds barred. So if you're going in there thinking that you know how this is going to pan out, then you're going to be surprised, because some of it is really horrific, and Michael Haneke doesn't, play by the rules. There's a certain set of rules in Hollywood where, violence against children is kind of taboo. But lately it's starting to break that taboo, which is good. But European cinema always had that sort of daring to push the boundaries. And this was made in 1999, so it is a very shocking film, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be surprised by how unpredictable it actually is, and you're not sure who is going to survive and who's going to actually go. So that was really good. As I said, the intensity was there, the cinematography was excellent. It was just a very subdued film, a very subtle film, but it had so much power underneath. So it's kind of like something was simmering under the very calm surface. Now, the remake, it had a lot of lingering shots that were just absolutely pointless. It seems that Michael Haneke is a little bit more laid back in this movie. He's not as self-indulgent as he was in the remake. There was one scene that lingered on and on and on, but I thought that helped contribute to a very powerful feeling. But there's other scenes in the remake that you kind of feel to yourself, well, that wasn't a powerful feeling. That was just a feeling of wanting to make it different, wanting to make Michael Haneke have a style instead of really, it just felt like it was a pointless exercise, the remake. But then you come back into this film and you see what Michael Haneke was trying to do, and he actually does it very well for the most part. As I said, there is still that self-indulgence there, but it's less obvious than it was in the remake. Now, the overall message of the film is violence, and, why are you watching this violence? A lot of people think that Michael Haneke is lecturing you, therefore it is a self-indulgent exercise and it's very irritating. But at no stage did I really feel like I was being lectured. I felt like I was experiencing something that was completely different and that really asked the question about violence for entertainment. This family are going through absolute hell, yet you're watching it. Why? And a lot of people will complain as to, you can't do this in a movie, you can't do that in a movie, but yet you still watch it. So there's that little part of you that will continue to watch a film even though you don't like what you're seeing. So it really shows you the power of on-screen violence, and it's kind of the viewer is contradicting themselves by complaining yet watching. And that's what the actual movie does. The further you watch, the more pain this family is going through. So you question yourself, well, why is Michael Haneke being so, hateful towards humanity in this film? But at the same time, you're watching it. So there is a little bit of curiosity in you that continues the film. And it kind of feels like you're the reason why this family is going through so much. So it's making you feel guilty. But it's a feeling that I've never had in a film. And I would say that it is self-indulgent, yes, but Michael Haneke is a very ambitious director. But I didn't see it as a bad thing. I saw it as something really good because it questions you. It's a very intelligent film. It's not just a film about torture. It's not just a film about villains doing awful things to, good people. It's a movie that does show you what society is like, that we view violence for entertainment, and that other people's pain can sometimes be our pleasure and entertainment. So it really does show you that. It's a very, very, very intelligent film underneath, but it's done in layers. So the casual film fan might miss it, but if you're after something that's really going to stretch your mind, then this is definitely for you. I thought everything about the movie was very well done. As I said, slight pretension here and there. I thought it was a little bit arrogant, and it will rub some viewers up the wrong way. But if you're after something that is going to, as I said, very thought-provoking, very disturbing, it's not overly graphic, but there are some scenes that will really upset you. There's one scene in particular that I thought is really gut-wrenching. It's heartbreaking. I'm not going to give anything away, but you see that scene, I thought it was one of the most powerful scenes I've seen in a long time, and one of it feels like Michael Haneke has just reached into your chest and ripped out your heart, basically. It gives you high hopes, and then all of a sudden those hopes plummet. And that's a sign of a really good filmmaker. And Michael Haneke has delivered a very good film in Funny Games. It's so much better than the remake. I just felt that the remake was lacking the good things that made this film so powerful. So if you're after a film that has a lot more intelligence than you would first think, then Funny Games, the original, is definitely one for you. So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. 4 stars for the simple fact that, as I said, there is a little bit of arrogance in there, but that's what makes Michael Haneke the great director that he is. So I've got a newfound liking for Michael Haneke. I used to hate him, but after watching more and more of his films, I see him as a very important filmmaker. So 4 stars for the German horror/thriller/drama Funny Games. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.